Cebulski, and I am the editor-in-chief of Marvel Comics. I am nowhere near as comfortable or talented as Angelique in public speaking. And it's been 3 years since we've done this, back in San Diego for the first time. It's wonderful to be back after everything that we've been through. So I've got a little cheat sheet here, so you're going to have to forgive me if I look down every now and then. So some of you might wonder why I'm up here. To put it simply in terms that people might understand is, I have the honor of walking in the footsteps of Stan Lee. With the amazingly talented editorial team we have at Marvel, we're the caretakers of all the characters in the Marvel Universe, 8,000, however many are that they tell us there are now. And I'm thrilled to be here tonight to help celebrate one of the ones who kicked it all off, our beloved, amazing Spider-Man, Peter Parker. So as I was getting ready to speak, I was thinking, what can be said about Spider-Man that he himself hasn't already said, or that other people haven't said about him? And it became a conundrum for me what I was going to talk about today. So I figured, you know what, I'm going to take it back and do two things with this. Since this is a museum, I want to talk about a little bit of some historical context. And after that, I just want to tell you personally what Spider-Man means to me, because I think it's a story that you, as fans of comic books and pop culture, all share. We always say that the Marvel Universe is supposed to be the world outside our window. You know, that when you open a comic book, you become immersed in it, and when you close that comic book, you can imagine that Spider-Man's going to swing by your building, or the Green Goblin's going to throw a pumpkin bomb through your window. Well, you don't really want that to happen. But I just want to talk about 60 years. 1962, that's when the first Spider-Man story was published, Amazing Fantasy 15. So some context, I just want to give you a couple of facts that I Googled, in case you might not know this. So what happened in 1962? We had the Cuban Missile Crisis. John Glenn became the first man to orbit the Earth. Marilyn Monroe unfortunately passed away. And that was the year also that the Space Needle opened. So this was what was going on in the world when Stan and Steve Ditko were creating this story. Also, here's some figures for you. A house in 1962 cost $12,500. Gas, 28 cents a gallon. And for all you parents with kids out there, a college education at Harvard was $1,520 a year. So, to go to another Marvel family, I bet a lot of you wish you had Dr. Doom's time platform so you could go back and get these prices again. But anyway, in the midst of all this, out comes Amazing Fantasy 15 for 12 cents. And this was the story where Spider-Man made his debut. And then I tried to put it in a personal context for me. I said, all right, I was born in 1971, not to age myself there. I said, wow, so I'm only 9 years younger than Peter Parker, if you think about it that way. But then I'm like, oh, no, we can't do that because Spider-Man is timeless. Peter will always be timeless. And so I put myself back in the shoes when I first discovered Spider-Man in the mid-70s. And I'm sorry, Peter, gonna come out here and say this. Spider-Man was not my favorite character. And I know we're here, but look, the story has an ending. I'm gonna get there, all right? So, I loved the Spider-Man comics. I read them. I love his cast of Rogues Gallery, his cast of characters. I love the Rogues Gallery. I like everything about the Spider-Man books. I love Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends on TV was at that time too. I'm sure a lot of you watch that show. But I just never found Peter as relatable as I did some of the other Marvel heroes. I mean, that's what the Marvel heroes are about. They pull off their masks and their costumes, and they're real people. They're everyday people like us. They're supposed to be relatable. Our characters are inspirational and aspirational. We want to be like them. But for some reason, as much as I love Spider-Man and his adventures, I never associated myself with him in that way. Until I got older. And then I realized what the true power of the messages that Stan Lee and Steve Ditko and later John Romita Sr., Jr. too, and all the creators, so many of them here, who worked on Spider-Man, put into these comics.